Chris Harrison is not returning to The Bachelor and is leaving the franchise for good. Hey guys, welcome back to another shared news from home. We have all the details on this crazy Chris Harrison news, but before we get into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future updates. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring, joined by the wonderful Morgan Wright and Zachary Reality. You guys, this news is so shocking. We're going to just jump right into it. It's being reported that after 19 years, Chris is officially done with his role in Bachelor Nation. Deadline broke the news, and they're reporting that Chris is getting a massive 8-figure payout to step away from the franchise. Morgan, I just have to know your thoughts. I mean, we knew this was a possibility, but it's officially happened. What do you think?
We knew it was a possibility, but I don't think I was mentally prepared for this to be the end of the road for Chris. We talked about how he might take a year off. He's obviously not on Katie season or wasn't going to be on Bachelor in Paradise. But I genuinely thought they would have at least gave him one more season to kind of bow out a bit more gracefully than this, cut, you're done, no chance to really say his piece on the franchise. So I was pretty surprised. What about you, Zach?
I was completely surprised. I thought that maybe he would have, like you said, Morgan, a one season or maybe like an episode, something to kind of close out his chapter. But it seems like they're really paying him to stay silent, which is just really upsetting because I feel like he really was a part of the show for so many years. And yes, we don't agree with what he said, but is that really enough to just like fire him or whatever the case is? Like have him leave the show forever just because of what happened? Like, I don't know. I wish that we could have gotten more of his story played out and even just a little bit of justice because he really did give so much to the franchise. And I just feel so nostalgic right now because I am a longtime viewer. I have been watching forever. So I'm just feeling really nostalgic that he's leaving.
Yeah, I totally agree with you both. I mean, listen, I wasn't okay with what he said during that interview. I really appreciated the steps he was taking to apologize, the commitment to take some time to put some work in. I think a lot of fans that were upset, because let's face it, not everybody out there was, but I think a lot of people who were definitely upset, disappointed, fill in the blank, just wanted some accountability, right? We just wanted him to take that time to put in the work. And then I think a lot of us were really ready, I was at least, to welcome him back and, see where the next steps of his journey went. So this definitely does feel like, I don't know, a lot of people out there across the board, wherever you fall on that spectrum, whether you're a diehard Chris Harrison fan and were never upset with him, to people who wanted some accountability. I think a lot of people are kind of hurting from this news right now. Chris confirmed it on his Instagram. It is that official, you guys. He shared a brief statement. He wrote, quote, "I have had a truly incredible run as the host of the Bachelor franchise, and now I'm excited to start a new chapter. I'm so grateful to Bachelor Nation for all of the memories we made together. While my 2-decade journey is wrapping up, the friendships I've made will last a lifetime." Very brief statement, but definitely sentimental there. Warner Horizon and ABC also issued a joint statement, even more brief than that. They said Chris Harrison is stepping aside as the host of the Bachelor franchise. We are thankful for his many contributions over the past 20 years. Wish him all the best on the new journey. So, again, pretty brief, short and sweet. Zachary, what are your thoughts? Were you expecting more? Were you expecting something, a little more emotional? What do you make of these statements?
I would have liked something more emotional. I would have liked a longer paragraph, but I feel like he's going to have to do some type of interview to at least kind of shed a little bit more light on the situation. Yes, they are paying him to kind of remain silent about all of the behind the scenes issues, but I think he can still have some type of closing episode, maybe in a future episode this season, just like 10 minutes, 15 minutes to really close out his chapter because he truly has given so much to the franchise. It's funny that he is leaving after 19 seasons because I actually really compare Chris Harrison to Ellen. She also just went through a major cancellation. She gave a lot to her respected show as well. And Ellen is actually leaving after 19 seasons as well. But the difference is that Ellen is getting that redemption season to come back and leave on a high note.
Mhm.
And I just really wish that Chris was able to get that. And it makes me so sad. I do think that the franchise can move on without him. I'm already here for Tasha and Caitlyn. but I still just wish he had more of an exit because he did mean a lot to so many people.
Yeah, Morgan, do you agree?
Yeah, I think you can tell by both of these statements that there is some tension behind the scenes because, as much as we say we didn't want Chris to go out like this, I can bet that Chris Harrison also did not want to go out like this. And, I can put myself in his shoes, hypothetically speaking. And, if you work somewhere for 19 years, if you're the face of a franchise for almost 2 decades, this really isn't the way that you want to go about it. And, as soon as we caught wind that Chris Harrison had hired a lawyer, you kind of knew that things were going to get dicey. And I feel like because both statements are very black and white, that there's going to be a lot of tension between the franchise and Chris Harrison within the next coming weeks and months.
Yeah, I mean, according to that initial deadline report, things are definitely pretty ugly behind the scenes. Of course, as we mentioned, the payout comes with an agreement to keep his
Mhm.
mouth shut. So, no big tell all book is right around the corner, obviously. Throughout negotiations, they're reporting Chris's lawyer pledged to unleash a whole slew of lawsuits that would expose the franchise's dirty laundry unless Chris was taken care of. So, of course, I mean, we know that he's been working for them for 2 decades now. Obviously, he knows where all the bodies are buried. He knows all sorts of dirt. And, he did get an 8-figure payout. He certainly was taken care of. But Morgan, I have to say, I don't think he wanted those 8 figures. I think he wanted at least a shot at redemption. It's being reported that Chris's lawyer wanted an agreement reached by the Bachelorette premiere. It's being reported that they have been in increasingly intense negotiations over the last few days, and that this agreement was literally reached in the early hours of the morning. Like we're talking this morning. The settlement is, of course, confidential and has clearly been in the works for some time now. How many versions of agreements do you guys think they were attempting to negotiate behind the scenes? Do you think they initially went in, with Chris just being on the outs and they were this whole time negotiating an exit? Or do you think they were really trying to come to sort of, agreement that would keep him involved in the franchise in some way? Because I just can't imagine that he walked into the room ready to go out. I mean, Zachary, what do you think they've been working on all this time? Has it been a roller coaster or has it been one negotiation all the way through?
I just don't know where Chris's head is at because if Chris want to come back to the franchise? Did he want to leave? Was he over it? There was a lot of rumors and talks that he was, getting iced out anyway, or that maybe he was ready to kind of retire. I don't really know where Chris's head was at, but it seems like after the whole situation, he obviously felt that he needed to hire lawyers. So of course it got messy. Of course there was multiple negotiations. This has definitely been going on for over a month of back and forth and back and forth. I'm glad that he did get a big check to at least leave and retire. Obviously, he was already making a lot of money from the franchise. He's been with them for so long. So, of course, he deserves that. But it definitely got messy behind the scenes. But Chris also mentioned in his Instagram that the friendships are going to last forever. And I don't think he's just talking about the contestants. I think there was a lot of people that he was really close with behind the scenes. So, I don't even know if it's like he was like at odds with The Bachelor or was it he just at odds with like ABC Network. There's so much that we don't know, but I'm glad that he is getting taken care of.
It's sort of like, the legal stuff is what makes it very complicated. I mean, Morgan, what's your take?
Yeah, so I feel like what you said is spot on, Zach. There's so much that we do not see. There's so much that we don't even know. We only see what's presented to us on the television screen when there's tens, maybe even multiple people behind the scenes, kind of being the puppet master and pulling people here and pulling people there. That's why I feel like, although none of us here on this panel really agree with what Chris said to Rachel Lindsay on that interview. I feel like Chris knows so much about the people behind the scenes that he could really sink the franchise if he truly wanted to. 19 years worth of secrets that man has. And, we did hear rumors
Mhm.
before about how The Bachelor was looking to freshen things up, maybe look for a younger host. So I feel like that seed had already been planted before all of this went down, and that this explosion kind of expedited the process. But I think Chris has done so much for the franchise. It would not be where it is today without Chris Harrison, and you can't
Mhm.
deny that. So even though he did make this mistake that was pretty monumental and did hurt a lot of people, we're just feeling the pain of it today, Fiona. I'm sad to see it end like this, truly.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have to say, I'm one of those people who definitely was looking for some accountability. I felt like Chris definitely needed to make amends and own what he said, what he did. But I really felt those apologies, and I wasn't hoping that this would be the outcome. I just can't get over the fact that this is the way the journey is going to end. But here we are. You guys, maybe I am really reaching here, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to point this out. Chris's statement, he says, while my 2 decade journey is wrapping up. So, wrapping up to me is like, okay, maybe there's a little bit of a door open there still. Of course, the network said he's stepping aside. So, again, maybe I'm reading into this. But my question for you guys is this Instagram statement it, or did he say wrapping up? Because maybe there is, negotiated into these exit terms, a moment for him to sort of step back in once more and get to say some sort of goodbye. Is that wishful thinking, or do you think it's possible? Morgan, what do you think?
I think it's deserved. I think he deserves that. He deserves an episode. I thought he deserved a final season. After you put 20 years of your career into something, you build a franchise from the bottom up. I really do think that he deserved at least one more season if they knew that his time was coming to an end. So I think at the very least, they owe him an episode. They owe him a 5-minute goodbye. I don't know, something. I really do hope that we get to hear from Chris. We get to see him actually speak. I don't know if it will be on ABC. I don't know if it will be on The Bachelor. Time will tell. What do you think, Zach?
I think by wrapping up, he meant two things. I think 19 years, it kind of rounds up to 20. And then I also think that they're going to give him an episode. Now that I'm like really
Mm.
thinking about this, I think that he is going to come in. It'll be a 20, 30-minute interview with Bachelor Nation, with ABC. He will get to close out his story, maybe reminisce on some of his favorite moments. Like, he definitely deserves to go out on a high note. I don't think that he's going to obviously have a whole season, but maybe a 20, 30-minute episode, maybe an hour special with ABC, maybe something with Good Morning America. He's definitely going to have some type of exit interview. It was really interesting watching last night because a lot of people that I was with, I went to this premiere party. A lot of people were like, "Oh, they didn't even mention Chris." Like they thought that maybe they would have mentioned Chris like in the first 10 minutes. I was like, "No, they're not going to mention him." But I think that he's definitely going to have some type of role to close out his chapter, whether it's on this season or maybe like a little special episode before Paradise. There's just no way he can go out this way with saying absolutely nothing because this caption is just too vague.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more we're talking about this, I mean, I'm thinking like how many lawyers, publicists, bachelor producers, like probably had eyes, honestly, on that and before he posted it. Clearly, they came to a very specific agreement. So whatever he's going to say, I'm just assuming people, gave it the green light before it was posted. So that wrapping up phrase, it feels maybe a little more intentional. Maybe he is alluding to some sort of, at the very least, a montage, recapping his time on the show. He didn't really have a final episode. So, whether we see it in after the final rose of Katie's season, men tell all, I don't know. I mean, you feel like it's not going to go all the way to Michelle's season before we see something. It feels like this timeline is going to be interesting. When are they going to potentially slip something in for him? But I really do think something is going to have to happen. Too many people, let's face it, are really angry with this news for them to just be like, and Chris is never coming back. I mean, maybe that's wishful thinking. Who knows? I guess only time's going to tell. The question I have for you guys is, we know people are devastated. We know people are upset. What comes next? Like, obviously, at some point, they're going to need to give people answers. Do we think it's going to be a new full time host? Someone who is, straight up a host, another Chris Harrison type? Do we think that they're going to wait and
Mhm.
see how Tasha and Caitlyn are this season and potentially try to get them to come on board for all future Bachelorette seasons? How long do you think we're going to have to wait before we get these answers? I mean, we're kind of back where we started, you guys. So many questions. Morgan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, logistically, of course, at first, I want to say, oh, I think that they will have former leads of each show rotate each year. So this year it's Tasha and Caitlin. Next year, maybe it's Hannah Brown and JoJo, something like that. But the more I sit here and think about it, could we really see Caitlyn and Tasha host a men tell all or an after the final rose? Doesn't that feel kind of odd?
Yeah.
I feel like it
Yeah.
would need to be one specific host to kind of maneuver through those conversations. And I feel like it would need to be a host like Chris Harrison. Maybe that's the way they bring him back, a men tell all and an after the final rose where he also gets to say his piece kind of because those things are filmed after the season has aired anyways, and this is too
Hmm.
serious of a moment for him to have the moment happen on Bachelor in Paradise. I just feel
Yeah.
like it would totally not mesh together for him to do his sit down interview in the middle of BIP. But I don't know, time will tell. I would love to see Chris Harrison host something else. Maybe a Dancing with the Stars. Who knows? What about you, Zach? What do you think?
I think we'll get some type of interview, like I mentioned, within a few weeks. I feel like there's no point of having this drag out for months and months to come. So I think we'll get some type of interview, some type of special on like a Tuesday night with Chris Harrison, or at least that's what I'm hoping for. And I definitely think that they're going to need to hire a new host that's a little bit more permanent. I know that they kind of maybe want to mix things up a little bit with Paradise, but they're definitely going to need like a full time host for the future of the franchise if they want to move forward. So there is a little bit more structure. Starting with Michelle's
Hmm.
season, why wait any longer? I think that this season will work out great with Caitlyn and Tasha. But Morgan, you bring up a good point. I cannot see either of them, hosting after the final rose, and I don't think Chris is back to host. That's just not going to happen. So are they going to bring Emmanuel back for this season of the Men Tell All and everything? I have no idea, but they definitely need a fresh face, somebody who is dedicated to the franchise that wants to be a host to move forward. And honestly, I don't know if I'm old enough for the job, but if there is a place to apply, I'm just going to put it out there.
I love it. Listen, I'll put that out there for you too. Why not? You're perfectly old enough. I
Thank you.
you guys, I feel like this news is so shocking. At this point, we just want to know your thoughts. I know there are so many different emotions related to what was going to happen next for Chris Harrison. Let us know all your thoughts, all your feelings down in the comments. And of course, I mean, where do you want things to go from here? Where do you see things going? Who could potentially step in? Let us know. And if you are not already subscribed, make sure you do. Make sure you ring the bell because it seems like there are going to be some pretty major updates in the days to come. We promise you covered on them all. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring, joined by the wonderful Morgan Wright and Zachary Reality. Hi, check out our socials. They are on the screen right now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.